Bro, what is that statue you got there?
This guy here used to be a lamp, but when I was in high school, we lived near a Salvation Army, and it was my first like Salvation Army purchase. And I took all the inside of it out and just have kept it over the years. And then when I built this little office, I'm like, all right.
But you've been carrying that thing with you since high school?
Every person I've ever lived with has always hated it. Every woman I've ever been with has hated it.
I bet it's kind of creepy.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I was in my high school,
I bought it at like, it was the first thing that, like when you're like 15, 16. What's up, John? How you doing, buddy?
What's up, babe? How you doing?
Good, man. It was the first thing that I saw in like a place where I said like $30, I can own a lamp. So I bought it, plugged it in, and I was like, I'm a fucking lamp owner. And then my mom was like, I'm a real human. And my mom was like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And I'm like,
I mean, we're talking about the statue or the lamp over his shoulder there. It's like a fisherman Hemingway.
He's a bad dude, man.
Yeah, he's a bad motherfucker. Look at those eyebrows, man.
The beauty of this guy is, when I was in New York in my early 20s and living with my girlfriend at the time in a tiny little studio, there's no place to put it but by the bed. And she would have moments where she's like, what the fuck are we doing? And I'm like, I've got one pair of jeans, 3 shirts, no money, and that guy. Yeah, but he's now like, my wife, we got a cabin up near Yosemite, and she convinced me for a while. She was like, this is a perfect home for that weird sculpture. And I'm like, you're right. And then I'm like, nah, because we're not up there a lot.
I need it every day.
You're hiding his weird ass. He's with me.
She didn't make you put it in the shed?
Well, for a little bit it was in the shed, but now this is the new shed. I built a little office.
Oh.
So now she's like, nobody comes in here but me. So she's like, perfect. And then he used to be here, but I'm like, let's give this fucker some shine. Put him in the back of every Zoom.
Does he have a name? He's just
no.
Just the guy. He's just the guy.
He's just always been there, and I just love this son of a bitch.
Is there any deeper meaning, or you just like it's not like I'm remembering when I was on the come up. It's just like I bring this weird thing with me everywhere I go.
No, it's I don't view it like the eyes in Gatsby, right? He's not the eyes of God. When I've gotten too stoned when I was younger, I was like, dude, there's something to this thing. Nope, just a sculpture.
Well, it reminds me, John once. Would you steal a cigar store, Indian?
No, it looked like that, but it was from a quote unquote haunt. It was a house that was like on campus of my high school that everyone had like lore that it was haunted. And I took a girl on a date to break into it. And we stole like this like statuish Indian type deal. And we put it in my buddy's room, who like freaked out. He was like, dude, I was hearing voices. I was wondering what it was. And I was like, oh, I put like a thing I stole from that haunted house in there. And he's like, what the fuck, man? And so then I was like, I'll take it back. My bad. I didn't want to fuck with you that bad. But then I was going to put it back again. And I got a car accident during that.
Jeez.
So I was like, maybe it's haunted and destroyed it.
And so what'd you do with it?
Well, actually, let me leave this Zoom real quick. Am I on now? Can you hear me?
Now you're switching over to Pabs' computer, I think.
Oh, this thing's been a nightmare. There we go. Okay. So then I kept it again for like years, thinking like I'm still gonna get him with this one day. Yeah. And I kept it in my parents' garage, and then one day he came over after high school, after everything, and I was like, dude, by the way, look what I still got. And I threw it to him, and he tripped on his own feet and then cut his hand open at my dad's saw. And I was like, all right, this thing's crazy.
You know, you should make a comedic version of Annabelle. You should just, and it should be about a couple of dudes in high school. They bring it out, they steal this thing, and it's fucking cursed, and they keep giving it to, and everyone's like, all jokes aside, I just had a baby. Keep that fucking doll away from me. And everybody who gets it, life goes to shit.
It's you say that, and like that, it actually, I can see that being a character in SelfReliance. That guy behind.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I think kind of because it looks like Biff Whiff.
Yeah,
it's got a little bit vibes to
it. But even the concept of self-reliance feels like kind of what you just described, where like it's this wacky scenario, and you're like,
yeah.
I mean, I guess you tell me, how does that come about? Because that feels like something where we have a YouTube series called Answer the Internet, where everybody answers these wild hypothetical questions that come from Reddit and all the corners of the internet. And that feels like one of them. Like, how long could you stay alive if people were trying to kill you, but you just took it and made it into a motion picture. It's kind of my dream to be able to do just wacky shit like that. How does that go from idea to the big screen?
Well, the original idea was in Japan, they've been making reality shows since the late 90s that are fucking wild. Mm-hmm. And one of them was they took a guy who won. It was a bunch of comedians and comedic actors, pre-internet, when everyone was like, I just want to be famous. I just want to be doing stuff. I don't want a day job. And they said, like, you won, you were selected. And all the other ones were so jealous, and he was celebrating. And then they put him in an apartment, and he was, so happy he won. And then they take off all his clothes, and he was a little less happy. And then they tell him that, like, there's cameras all throughout and everything's bugged, and he's, they're going to film him 24/7. He was a little bit more freaked out. And then he looked around and realized there was no food and there was no anything. And the only way he could get food or clothes and survive was to get newspapers and get coupons or win radio call-in shows. And they weren't nice about it. He started to starve and lose massive weight. And then, like, finally he wins, like, rice, and he's so happy. But then he realizes he doesn't have pots and pans. So he's got to get pots and pans. And the wilder it got, the funnier it was for the audience.
If public, you're fucking sick in the head.
Look, I mean, what are we going to be doing in 2 years?
Yeah, I know.
But it is, if you're sick in the head. But the truth is, when, my friends and I started finding this back in, I think it was the late 90s, early 2000s, right in that era, we were all kind of going, I hate to admit it, but I would watch.
Yeah.
And so, and also comedically, as that guy, the crazier you get, the funnier it is for the audience. I was like, I like this idea. I was like, there's something here that I think is really fun.
Yeah.
And then, I started writing something up, and then years went by, then the pandemic hit, and all the themes of my original idea really felt pandemic-y. Where you're all by yourself, you really miss people, you think people are trying to kill you, you think something from the outside is going to get you, but your neighbor thinks you're an idiot. I was up in Yosemite, and I walked outside with the dogs, and I had a mask on, and I might have had goggles. And and my neighbor up there, who's like just a country guy, he had nothing, and he and I were chatting, and he goes like, don't be afraid, son. As soon as they get Trump out of office, your pandemic's going to go away. And I was like, I can't hear you because my ear holes are covered with masks. And I was like, oh, this is wild, man. We all have a different truth. We're all scared. And I thought that works for this. So I wrote it up, sent it to Allie Bell, who used to work with Ivan Reitman. I'd worked with her during that era. And now she runs the Lonely Island with, Andy and Yorma and Akiva and those guys. They read it. She liked it. Said, let's go try to raise some money.
That's great.
That's
fun.
You're so good at writing. I guess if your audience is me, you fucking nail it every time. But
I don't need a lot. I'm not going after the number one seed. I just want a wild card spot.
But you,
and if we lose in the playoffs, fuck it. We got to the playoffs. We have a broken organization.
But there are so many scenes in this movie because it's such a wacky idea and it is so funny. But there are also so many like pointed moments, like when you're on Natalie's porch and she's like, I just wanted to feel something, or you and Anna are on the not fire escape, like the balcony, tired of being alone. It's I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm watching that and I'm like, yeah.
What I really wanted to do with this movie, and now that it's out, it's done really well on Hulu, which has been really kind of nice, is that I just wanted to make a movie like the kind of movie that I would want to watch. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've gotten really lucky in this game and that I'm still playing. You know, it feels like if you're a European undrafted athlete at a certain point, you go like, I'm on my third contract.
Yeah, right. It worked. It actually worked.
And like my knees are shit. And, you know, like I can't keep up with these kids, but like I think I've got one more contract in me. And so I kind of felt like if I got a shot, I don't want to just make a romantic comedy. And I don't want to just make a comedy. I was like, this is the kind of movie that if I were 20, I would want to see, even if I don't land every aspect of it. I wanted to make a movie that was really manic, that tried to keep you away from your phone. I wanted every 10 minutes for there to be a new turn. Yeah. I wanted it to keep driving. And even as I was going, I was like, you know, while we were editing, I didn't have this is the point of the whole movie and this is what we're landing and this is what you'll learn. I always kind of feel like it's choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
If somebody gets out of it and goes, you know, the part of the loneliness really meant a lot to me and I connected to that. And somebody else goes, that movie was shit. It was just funny. I liked it. So you're both right.
Right. It's funny you say that because I saw a Reddit thread that was all about, is any of it real or is it all in his head? And then I brought it up to John and John was like, no, it's just a real movie. It's happening. But there was this discussion going on online that the whole thing might be he's mentally ill. So to your point, it's like, whatever you guys.
To me, I feel like that's fun.
Yeah.
Whatever gets you guys to whatever gets people talking about it after. And my real hope more than anything with all these projects, I'm realizing now that I'm 45 years old, is we're just trying to entertain a little bit. Mm-hmm. We got in a real confusing era where a lot of us were like, I guess we're also teachers. Yeah. Even though I was a fucking D- student and referred to as the dumbest guy in the class. And I would have teachers look at me like, honest to God, Jake, I think you have shit for brains. But here I am going to teach the American public. It's like, no. How about this? You've given us a great opportunity. Let's entertain as much as we can. And thanks for letting us fucking dance for you. That's it. If you could throw some nickels in as you walk by, I appreciate it.
This is the definition of when people have that tired discussion about what is cinema become? It's only Marvel movies and remakes, and Scorsese chimes in, and it's the same retread argument all the time. But what the people are talking about are movies like this, where it is it's an original idea. It's written by you. It's like it's just something new.
It's just an indie. It's an indie movie.
Right. Yeah. Here you go. Here it is. If you know,
but here's the catch. Here's the catch in that argument, in my opinion. All of them are fucking great because we're not in a spot where we can only get 3 movies. Mm-hmm. So if you like Marvel movies, they got plenty of them.
Right.
Disney every 2 weeks has a whole new franchise of them with like 9 spinoffs. Mm-hmm. And if you're like me and you don't follow them, you go like, what is this new made up name that there's like not only 90 characters, but it's the most popular thing on planet Earth. Mm-hmm. And if you're a film Scorsese guy, he's still making 3-hour epics. Paul Thomas Anderson's still making his. Gerwig's making huge studio ones and probably like another small one at some point. Yep. So you can get any flavor you want. What are you mad about?
They asked Christopher Nolan the question, and he was like, I made a 3-hour movie about a scientist, and everybody watched it. So, I think
things are okay.
I think it's pretty good, you know?
That's exactly right. They're like, is it dead? I'm like, well, considering we're at a fucking party where we're all eating and everyone's watching, it ain't dead. Dead means they go, when was the last movie made? And you go, you know, Hollywood makes 3 movies a year now. Right. Then it's dead.
Yeah. That's a great point. That is a great point. The topic of the movie, though, is something, like I said, we've kind of debated things like that before. One of the classic ones, have you ever heard of the Deathsnail?
No.
Okay.
I like the name of that as a band in high school. I would definitely be like, they're more punk rock than me, but I think I can outdrink them. And so there is a victory for me and my friends. There is a victory.
This might be a movie. Maybe this is an idea you can turn into a movie. Okay. There is a snail, regular snail as far as size and movement, but it is highly intelligent and it is out to murder you. All it has to do in order to kill you is touch you.
Right. Gross.
It has like supreme intelligence. So, and that the whole bet is how long do you think you could go before this snail would kill you? You think
not a chance forever?
You would go to bed at night and be fully confident that maybe that snail is not going to just crawl up your bed frame and touch you.
Put that motherfucker in a box with screws on each corner. Now, if you said the mad silverback gorilla, now I'm in some trouble. A snail?
You know what?
No one's ever said that.
I was going to say, I've debated this 1,000 times where people always say, I get on a plane and I go to LA. And I'm like, well, then the snail will eventually
So
get on a plane too. And no,
it doesn't have arms. It doesn't have legs. You might be really intelligent, but then it's going to be like, it's sitting in a box going like this. Aha, you've outwitted me. Yeah. You can crawl up every corner of it, but I'll spend 10 straight hours with nuts and bolts. And I will drill into concrete. Then on top of it, I'll pour concrete over it. So you go, there's no getting out of this. If that snail gets out, it has to be other than a snail to get out. And then it's a different equation.
We've asked this question a lot. No one's ever said. It seems like such the obvious answer. Yeah. No one's ever said that.
maybe Deathsnail the movie is over. Okay, it's no longer a 2-hour motion picture. It's a TikTok. It's put a box on top.
I guess it'll do way better on TikTok.
You're probably right. What's crazy is what you do. You know, when there's a spider or whatever, you put a glass on top of it. Like yeah. I don't know why we didn't think of that.
Well, there's just certain ways to outwit, and then the scary thing would be something. I was watching this great. So I'm a big gorilla chimpanzee guy. Yes. I mean, not only a fan, just cannot believe we live on the same planet and cannot believe how close they are to us and cannot believe that each of them have specific personalities and moods and egos. And we're like, God, we're so different. And then you watch like a doc on like a chimpanzee community and you're like, that one's too jokey. He'll never be the leader. And I'm like, the one who's kind of fat and lazy. And I'm like, ooh. But you tell me there's an angry chimp after me. I can't build a box strong enough to get that chimp to stay. He'll get out.
What do you think about the people who have over the years domesticated the chimps and then inevitably get their face ripped off?
So I think the Bubbles story of Michael Jackson is one of the funniest stories and saddest of all time. And if you ever go deep on what happened to Bubbles in the end,
what happened?
So the story of little Bubbles.
I mean,
Mike Jackson gets a little chimp, and puts him in jackets and takes him on premieres, feeds his little ass sushi, makes him a big star, right? This is real. That little chimp's drinking champagne with Mike Jackson, right? So it's also never been around other chimps. So if you're Bubbles, how do you see yourself? Right?
Now we're getting deep.
Bubbles has straight up maids. Then Bubbles gets a little bit older, and a baby chimp is about the cutest thing on planet Earth. A 5-year-old chimp is just a chimp, man.
Not so cute anymore.
So, little less cute, little less attention from MJ, attitude problems. Bubbles bites a couple people. Bubbles acts up. Bubbles is out. Mike gets rid of Bubbles. He goes to some sanctuary. Bubbles never recovers. Bubbles is, and it's all on Wikipedia. This is not a bar story where I'm lying. Bubbles gets suicidal. Bubbles goes through a dark depression. Bubbles will not make friends with other chimps. Why? Because they're fucking chimps.
He's a human.
Really simple reason. You don't wear diapers. You take dumps outside. You're a disgusting animal. I'm Mike Jackson's kid. Yeah. Thank you for the banana. Anybody got any sushi? How about a nice chilled Sapporo with it? And so Bubbles goes a little bonkers. Gets really depressed and then has a turn. I think it's down in Tampa, but he went to a new sanctuary, made a friend finally, a companion. And it said now Bubbles is spending if people come and visit, Bubbles doesn't want to see people anymore, just wants to be a chimp. But he spends his day with his one companion and painting. And that's a true story.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy.
I'll tell you what, though.
Talk about the story. My dream project is
I was gonna say I don't know if
I want to be the voice of Bubbles more than anything on planet Earth.
I went through a whole roller coaster there, man. I kind of think it's a happy ending in a way, though.
Well, it's a who you really are ending.
Yeah.
And in the end, there was like a whole thing where the people said like Bubbles was really depressed because he was waiting for his family to come get him. Oh. And when visitors would come, he would get really excited. And it was like a whole thing because he was viewed as, an accessory, but he's not. He's a highly intelligent creature. And then he had to go, what a realization. Oh my fucking God. I'm one of these chimps on the fucking tree. This is me. I'm you.
Dude, can I tell you?
It.
The way it ends with him finding happiness in painting, yes. I don't know why my brain went here, but you just told the story of George W. Bush.
The only beauty would be if there was footage of Bubbles snorting cocaine and throwing fastballs.
Bubbles threw out the first pitch of Game 1 of the World Series.
Yes. But it is the ending when you talk about George W. was such a wild character. Yeah. And such a funny character to study without getting into politics, but just what a nut. Dude, and then to go after it ends, he's painting and he's hated it. Well, also he was a party boy.
Yeah.
Supposedly he was the most charming, fun guy.
Sure.
But he was the fucking rager. He
owned a baseball team.
Yes,
he did it all. And then now he's just painting sailboats and they're like, oh, how cute.
But you're right. What a finish. It seems like that Bubbles is up in those trees looking around, and the first few years just hating these goddamn chimps. Honestly, cannot believe the injustice that I can't believe my life. I'm with you fucking animals. And then that slow, sad realization when they make a friend, and the friend in its way goes like, Bubbles, man, you a chimp. That's it. Hey, Bubbles, what? And Bubbles goes, yeah. Have you looked at your ass lately? All the pink's on the outside. Fuck, man. I don't look at it because I got a diaper. No one's coming to change it. Take that diaper off, my man. God, man. Well, at least I'm going to paint. You can paint, Bubbles. They're not good, but you can paint. And that's him holding on to the past.
I just got told a story by one of our coworkers, Donnie, Kevin. Yeah. He went to Uganda and they went on like a safari to follow the chimps and gorillas. And they were told that, it's very dangerous and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And they finally stumble upon this tribe. I don't know what they're called, pack. Yeah. And the person's like, okay, watch them over there, make sure don't look them in the eye, all that stuff. And they're standing there watching this gorilla community kind of live and trying to live in the quiet, and they get attacked by African hornets, the people. So they're
no way.
Yeah, dude. He has this on film, Kevin. The documentary's not out yet. And the guide is like, if you feel that, it's hornets. They're just biting you right now. We're gonna have to run as quickly and quietly.
Wait, but doesn't that spook the gorillas?
That was their fear. They're
what a nightmare.
they're like, if we stay in here, the African killer bee hornets or whatever they were,
you're die, right?
If we stay in here, we're gonna die. But if we run, we might spook them.
This is incredible.
We have to run.
This is incredible.
This is why. I'm the king of the indoors, Jake. I sit on my couch and I watch TV, and it's because of stories like this. You know what's not going to happen to my couch? No African hornets and no silverback gorillas.
You're not wrong. So this is why I like that story, and this is why I've been teased by others around me a lot of times, and I'll feel like I know I'm the maniac here, but I'm not doing it. Years ago, I was doing press for a movie called Paper Heart with Charlene Yee. And it was my first press tour, so I was really trying to have a good attitude. Just don't kick me off this train. I want this career, please. And they said, we're going to do a big cover story. I think it was for the LA Times or something. And they were like, we want Charlene and Jake. And I'm like, okay. Not just the star, but number 4 sneaks in the photo. And I'm like, let's do it. Let me find a sweater So I look nice, push my hair down so I don't look like a fucking bum, and let's get in the LA Times. And they go, we're going to do it down at the zoo. And I was like, fun, God bless. So we get down to the zoo. We're walking around. Who cares? I'm in. Charlene's a load of fun. We're doing a lot of bits. And then they say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have you guys hop the fence and take the photo around a rhino. And I go, no.
No, we're not.
And they said, this rhino has been raised since it was a baby in captivity. It's like a cow. And I go, like a cow and a cow are different. That's a rhino. And I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do it.
No, of course not. He's got a brain.
And here's why. And I'm dying to see a silverback. And then I'll see like some like random celebrity on Instagram where I'll be like, man, you got out there and saw the silverback. The reason I won't do it is I'm sitting out there. I hiked my 12 hours. I'm sitting there. I'm like, incredible. That's a real silverback on the same rock as me. This is incredible. If that silverback decides the one with the nose, I'm going to tear apart. As it's coming at me, all I'm going to think is, I knew it. What an idiot. What a dunce. What a dunce. Yep. And I'm like, that experience is not worth the turn. Even when the hornets were coming, I'd be like, why am I in the African bush staring at a gorilla while all it's trying to do is eat and live? Mm-hmm. Everything should kill me out here. Why am I here?
Yep. Go on Planet Earth. Watch the documentary, bro. You can see your silverbacks there.
Yeah. You know what? Spend that money. Get the best HD you can.
Perfect.
Dude, I would have taken that picture with the rhino. It's a miracle I'm alive because I'd have taken that picture with the rhino.
Yeah.
I'm a ball of clay and you just move me where you want. And sure, if you were like jump that fence and take a picture, all right?
Sure. Take a look at a rhino. If you just pronounce a rhinoceros, it's a fucking dinosaur. It's just a dinosaur that still lives today. We don't fuck with that thing.
I agree. I just saw this photo of a crocodile from some village that they just brought up. This crocodile must have been 40 feet long. And let's just call it what it is.
It's been around for 40 million years.
They're like, people keep disappearing in this village. I'm like, yeah, dinosaurs are savages.
I think they're getting beat by
What do you expect that's going to happen? You go near a dinosaur, you're going to be gone. That's just...
What do you think is the most extreme thing you have done? Whether it's animals or have you done like an extreme sport? Have you climbed a mountain? Have you jumped out of anything like that?
I don't really know. I have had moments of my life of bad decisions, but I don't know. When I did that Tom Cruise movie, I had to do certain things, and there were just moments where I thought like, this isn't wise.
It's a bad idea.
Like, this isn't in my nature.
Huh? I mean,
but you're also around it. But like stunt people are really wild people, and people who like live for adrenaline, they just see things differently than I see them. I'm not into it. Like the idea of skydiving, I never understand the reason I would want to bungee jumping.
He does it. John does it. They went on there. They went. I think they couldn't do it because of weather, but we were on the road doing shows. And they went, and I was like, "Why? See you guys when you get back."
I'll tell you another thing. You like it?
It's very like, yeah. There's like that free fall where you're like, I don't know, maybe this does his parachute.
Well, see, See, here's the thing. John's also maybe a little suicidal, so he's a little bit of a different case.
He's like this. I really hope the chute doesn't open.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he's like, I had a great feeling. I thought it was over.
Yeah, he's the guy. He pulls the chute, and you float, and a little part of him goes.
Yeah, the guy goes like the guy on your ear goes like, in 10, I'm gonna do it, and he goes like this, make it 40.
I got my hands like this on the strap. He's like, hey, move your hand. I'm like, no, dude.
This is my trip, asshole. You're with me now. I'm the captain now, goofball.
No, I
don't have that.
If I go on a roller coaster Actually, I haven't even been on a roller coaster as an adult, so I can't.
I hate. By the way, I have with my kids. Hate it.
So okay, that's my thing. I used to be like a normal person. I wasn't like a roller coaster freak, but I'd go on them and I enjoy them.
Same.
Then I have kids. I get on like the teacups.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm dizzy. Yeah. I'm sick. I can't do any of this shit anymore. No. Like
we went on one at Santa Monica, which is like the big swing up and down.
Yeah.
And my daughters wanted to. We started going. There was a point where I was up like this, where I thought like, why have we convinced ourselves as humans this is fun? My body feels like I'm getting hit by a truck. I'm in a metal seat. My kids are freaking out. The people around me are freaking out. And then it ends and everyone's like, that was amazing.
Let's do it again.
I'm like, hey, you fucking goobers. Do you remember the moment of nightmare? What happens in your brain that forgets that and goes, let's wait in line for an hour and a half to do it again? I'm like, no, pass.
Dude, I thought I would be the guy, like, I'll do anything for my kids. Like, if they really want me to go on. And we haven't done like a big theme park yet. And when we do, I'm going to say no. I will be waiting here with the cotton candy for you. I am not.
I think that's right. And I think that's fine as long as you find somebody who's with them.
Yeah.
So we always have like my wife's into it. And then we had our friend Morgan who got really into it. So we'd be like, we're buying you the ticket.
So you just brought like a proxy almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's like, I like the rides.
Wow.
And it was like, how about this? You got a free ride and a free day. Eat your ass off. Do whatever. You want a hat? You got a hat.
Yeah. Can you send Morgan to Disney in the spring with me? Can I buy her for the day?
By the way, that's a great job. Somebody who is, 16 to 35 female, really sweet, loves kids, and loves rides and adventures, and is like open to listening to kids and genuine. Just like... So, dude. And what else are you feeling? Well, I thought it was exciting. Keep going. Go on another ride. Go on another ride. Take my money.
I'll pay her $100 an hour, whatever you want. But you know what? You know what's funny though? Yeah. All of a sudden, you just flip that to a male, and it's like, lock that person up. Go to jail. You're fucking.
That's right. You know what, man? I see you fucking moves. You're a snake, and if I see you again, you're never gonna walk again. I love roller coasters. Yeah, I love breaking people's legs. I swear to God, if I see you again, you're gonna be in the ocean. You're gonna be swimming with the fish.
when I was a kid and Six Flags opened in New Jersey, and I went with my family, and my aunt was probably in that same age range you're talking about, which she was probably 20. I was like 6, and the Batman ride broke. Huge line, hour and a half line, like you're saying.
Nightmare. Oh my God.
The Batman ride, they're like, we got to stop it, but we were pretty far in line. So we stand there for like an hour. They're like, all right, we think we got it fixed. We're going to give it a test run. So they run it empty, and this big piece falls off, and the whole crowd just leaves, like starts running. And my aunt's like, let's do it. And so we get on.
No way.
We get on. It's like, it's not empty, but it's close to empty. It's just me, my aunt, and like a couple other people. We get off the ride. My dad comes running, like the guy who saw the silverback gorilla who saw the guy with the nose. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Blah, blah, blah. She's like, John, it landed in front of us. It was just someone's Walkman they left on the ride. Like it was just like the CD projector. So we got to skip the line, but my dad was furious. Probably the maddest I've ever seen him. He was like, what the fuck is wrong with you taking him on that ride?
I mean, I truly, if you ask me like to script my actual nightmare, those stories of people who are like stuck upside down for like an hour and a half, I put a bullet in my head before I do. I no fucking way.
So you know what? I realized what my nightmare would be was, and I've done it a couple of times. I just did it again in the Grand Canyon, even though I know better. But it's when you take one of these like as a family or a group of friends, and you all go like, it happened the first time I was in Africa doing that movie, and the whole cast went out. The director paid for us to have like a little tiny plane fly around Africa and go over animals and do this whole thing. We're down in Namibia. Alex Kurtzman, the director, we get an email saying like, I can't go because I'm working. It's all paid for. Show up here. So you're like, what a class act. Then I get there and there's this tiny little plane. It literally looks like, someone made it in their backyard with like a lawnmower as an engine. And you're just thinking like, cool, man, I get to be on this thing. And then I'm sitting in the front. Some of the other people from the cast are in the back. It's tight. And the pilot's right next to me. And we're flying over just nothing. And he's like, this is the most untouched part of Africa. No one's touched it. I'm like, this is how it looked millions of years ago. And I'm like, this is really neat. And then I thought, what if he has a heart attack? Right? Life happens to human beings. What if he goes like this? This is the most... Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. Them in the back are going to go, if you're in the front seat, Jake, do something. What am I going to do?
What are you going to do?
I'm going to go like this. I looked, and mind you, while we're sitting there, I looked at the board. Must have been 50 buttons.
Mm-hmm.
49 of those buttons kill everybody on the plane. And then I thought at a certain point, I'm like, who's the backup?
Okay,
you need a back. It's like having a football team and not having a backup QB in the Super Bowl.
Let's play this out though. Let's say you hop in the fucking cockpit.
Yeah, he has a heart attack. I pull his ass off. We're going down.
Let's say though, best case scenario, you pull a Captain Sully and you land in the middle of the untouched parts of Africa with a broken.
And we're injured.
Right.
And now
the radio doesn't work and you don't have any water.
And there's blood coming out of the leg and the animals around smell it.
The hornets show up. The hornets are there.
You look up in the air and you go like this. 6 vultures already? We just landed. And you know what those vultures are telling the other ones? There's some meat over there.
Fresh meat.
Yeah. And guess what? The muscles don't seem tough.
The guy with the nose looks a little soft.
We're not talking about the kind of meat that walks 14 miles a day carrying stuff on their shoulders. We're talking about the kind of meat that sits on a couch and watches people. This is delicious.
This seems like a lot of acai bowls over here.
Well, you're talking about one of those acai bowls where you go, I like this. I'm healthy. And then I go, can I get it with Oreo cookies, please?
Peanut butter. Yeah.
My favorite is the fake health smoothie. Yeah, can I get a smoothie with a peanut butter? What is that? There's a chocolate sauce? Might as well try it. Can you take all the fruits out and just put milk, Oreo cookie, some caramel, and then whatever? What do you call that on top? Oh, yeah, whipped cream. And you're like, hey, I had a smoothie today. It's like,
thanks, Airborne.
Exactly.
Dude, you mentioned Tom Cruise earlier, and I was reading an article in Bustle, I think, about SelfReliance out now on Hulu. Yeah. And it was talking about when you flew over there to try and quit, and he just didn't let you?
Well, kind of. So I had, I got that script for The Mummy, and Alex Kurtzman and I met, and I didn't get the script. They said, do you want to do a Tom Cruise movie? And the answer was yes. And I assumed my role in it would be some version of like the bad tech guy, or the guy who annoys him before he goes off and does his mission. And I said, if I do it, I would love to be able to improvise with Tom Cruise. So going up there and being word perfect and hitting your marks and being like an actor's actor with Tom Cruise is neat. But for me, you could then replace Tom Cruise with anybody.
Yeah.
Because I'm just on my single saying my lines and doing my stuff. And then in post, it's together. But I don't do this stuff for post, especially as an actor. I'm doing it for the moment. So my thought was like, man, being in a 2-shot with Tom Cruise, and all of a sudden we get off a little bit and to see where we're going, I was like, man, I really want to experience that, because as an actor, who's better? Right? When he does like his role in Magnolia, just as like a character actor, I mean, give me a break. His early stuff, his acting, fucking forget it, dude. So the director said, like, yeah, he's like, I'm
dude, even though like the ball's on you though to be like, I just want to do a little improv with Tom, so let me do my thing. That's for you.
No, but also kinda. It's also like if that's the only real offense I can run.
Got it. That's your move. That's your go-to. I got it.
It's like if they're like, hey, we're thinking of signing you to the, like, my job is each job I get, I feel like really what actors are and writers, direct, whatever I am, is an independent contractor. And each new gig is a new start. And I just don't want to get on a team that runs an offense that I go, we're not even speaking the same language. Right. Yeah. Because then your numbers are terrible. The whole city's mad at you. And you're like, I swear to God, it's the coach.
I told him what I can do.
Yeah, like, I promise you, I don't know what he's talking about. Like, I could score right here. And they're saying, no, pass it 9 more times. You're all mad at me.
It's the D'Antoni Sons. It's
like they're asking me, they're saying shoot at 3-point line, like at half court. And I go like, I'm a mid-range guy.
Okay. So back to the improv with Tom. Yeah.
So long story short, everything seems like a yes, but I was also doing a lot of New Girl at the time. I was working a lot. So I wasn't in a shortage of work. And then I get the script, and the first 30 pages is just me and him doing stunts. And I'm not a comedic character, really. I'm a soldier and a thief with him. And it's, his name was Chris, my name was Vale in it. It would be like, Chris and Vale, like, comma, guys you don't want to meet in an alley, comma, jump off their horses and enter this village. And I'm like, okay. And then once they enter the village, they're like chased, which then begins a sequence that was really cool and well written. But I'm like, I know how this dude's going to want to do it. It's all 2 shots.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be stunt people. It's not going to be, we go like this and then it cuts to a low wide and some animals jump off a bridge.
Right.
And then we land and go with like dirt on our face. And I go like, some jump. That movie I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And so when I read it, I honestly just thought like, it's not even, I just don't think I'm the guy. I think there's been a miscommunication.
Yeah, like is there a different Jake Johnson that is?
Yeah, or like honestly, what I think was real is the director wanted me, and Tom Cruise had no idea who I was, and said, "Yes, absolutely, sounds great."
Got it.
And I honestly thought, who gives a shit? It's a Tom Cruise movie. I'll pull up some some dead weight either way. So
Brady being like, I'll get a Hogan a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah,
100 exactly right. Who's this little wide receiver? I'm going to make it 8 catches for 110 yards. Me, sir, undrafted. On my last 3 teams, I barely was on the practice squad, but now other teams think I'm incredible. So long story short, I just read the script and I just think like, it's not my kind of thing. Like, God, like, cool. I'm a fan, but truly like jumping off houses, getting chased, running, jumping from building to building. And then the whole thing is the whole movie is that we like steal a bunch of stuff from a cave. I get bit by a huge spider. We crash a plane. Then I die. And then I come back and haunt them for a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know. I also don't like doing the prosthetics. I don't want to do like the masks. Yeah. All that stuff's a nightmare. I don't want weird contacts in my eyes. It's not why I got into this game.
Right.
So I just say to my team, I think there's been like a respectful misunderstanding. And they were like, "What are you saying?" I go like, I don't think I'm going to do it. And what had happened was I had already said yes. So they had already started moving forward with the idea of me saying yes. And even though it's not a contract, you are bound in some ways. Sure. So I could get out and they wouldn't have like sued me. But I thought it was going to be, there's been a misunderstanding. Everyone goes like, all good. And then I get a nice text from the director, let's work together on something soon. And I said, I'd love it. Sure. And instead I got a call saying, totally fine, but Tom Cruise would like to meet. And I thought like, ooh, and you would like to meet in London. And I was shooting New Girl. And I was like, well, can we chat on the phone? And they said, Tom Cruise would like to meet. And so what happened is I like finished New Girl on a Friday, jumped on a red eye, got off the plane, literally told the driver, I was like, can I get back to the hotel and like do what the body needs to do after a 12-hour flight? And he said, Tom Cruise would like you to come straight to the studio.
Yeah. How many more times can I say this? Tom Cruise wants to meet. Go.
I'm in cargo shorts and like 2 sweaters.
Oh my God.
And a couple of cocktails in me from the plane and very bad sleep. And we get to the soundstage.
You gotta go meet the most intense guy of all time.
we get to the soundstage. They're doing something, practicing technically, like shooting some stuff. It all started. The whole crew's there. I meet Tom. He introduces me to the entire crew. He goes like, everybody, says Jake, he will be playing Vale in our movie. I have to do the like, guys doing? He then walks me around to all the special effects offices and says things like, what do you think of this? And I'm like, I think cool.
I'm not going to do any of this.
Yeah, I was like, I think that looks like a very intense mummy, Mr. Cruise. Yeah. And then he goes, come up to my office, let's talk. And as we're walking up the stairs, he goes, I hear you're a little nervous about the stunts. And I go, yeah. And he goes, do you feel comfortable walking upstairs? And I went like, oh shit. He's a fucking dude. Yeah. And he's going to murder me. And his whole bit was, do you think I'm going to let you get hurt? Do you really think the way this operation works is I'm going to like let you die on has anybody ever? And I was like, no.
See, my counter to that though is like, do you know me, sir? Because I have a lot of bad luck.
So that's what I said.
A lot of,
So that's what I said. And he said, are you somebody, do you work hard? And the truth is, even though the characters I play don't, I do.
Yeah.
I've been grinding really hard since I was about 17. My whole thing is I will always outwork everybody. I might not out-talent you, but I will outwork you. And so I said, yeah, I'm not afraid of work. And he goes, so here's what I'm asking you to do. I will get you a trainer. I'm just asking you to show up. And this was maybe December-ish. He goes, or maybe February, whatever. He goes, we don't do the stunts until August of next year. So we had like 7 months. He goes, if you do what the trainers I put in front of you ask you to do, you will be ready. I'm just asking you to say yes to trying. And I went like, okay.
Yeah. If Tom Cruise told me that, I'd be like, I'm not going to tell Tom Cruise I'm not going to do
that's
it.
the thing. So,
and what I will say, he's the best number one I've ever worked with, as fun as a guy to work with, as, in terms of making movies, as good as it gets. And so I just went like, it ended, and I was like, great experience. Really glad I did it. Really don't ever need to do it again. But
did you get like shredded for it?
I lost a lot of weight, and then I actually got a little sick. But it was really, we're working out 4 or 5 times a week. If you work out 4 times, that amount of time, you lose weight. There's no mystery.
Yeah.
No,
you either take Ozempic, shoot steroids in your butt, or you work out all the time.
Right. Man, that is crazy.
Yeah.
You mentioned he's the number one. I was going to say, I actually, very weirdly, I was watching Curb last night. It was your episode. Yeah. And I started thinking of all the major people you've been with, and 4 came to mind. I'm sure there's more, but Cruise, Larry David, Prince, and Taylor Swift. You didn't really have lines with.
I think Larry David, I was too new and it was too small. So I didn't really get a sense of anything there besides I was in over my head and scared. Prince, I got to interact with, and Tom Cruise, I really interacted with, and Taylor Swift, I didn't get to do anything with.
Yeah. She was just, they're breaking up the wedding.
She was just, honestly, we all knew she was a monster, where you're like, she's a huge thing and she's a big star, and you could feel that.
But you know what's so funny?
She was nothing but
that was what, 10 years ago? That was before.
Yeah, but even then, she was already.
Yeah, but think about now, like, if Taylor Swift
she's next level.
Be on a sitcom set, right? It would like shut the whole fucking place down. You know what I mean? It's like,
so I read something about her that I found so cool, and that is that she changes the economies of cities she goes to.
Yep.
And honest to God, like, whatever anybody wants to say about anything, how cool.
Dude,
how cool about, like, what is she in her 30s?
33?
Yeah.
A 33-year-old singer-songwriter from Nashville changes the fucking economy.
When not just changes the economy, changes it to the Eras tour started in Phoenix, and the Super Bowl was just in Phoenix last year, and it was the week after the Super Bowl, and local businesses reported they had a bigger
jump. Amazing.
During Taylor Swift week than Super Bowl.
She's literally bigger than the fucking Super Bowl.
I think she's.
You know what's going to be crazy, by the way, is if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
She's going to be at the Super Bowl, but not be the act at the Super Bowl.
And then whoever's
Usher's going to be like,
is going to be like,
this sucks.
Yeah. He's like, everybody's here for me. And people are going to be like, it feels pretty divided. Feels divided.
I can't. Like, I'm putting every dime I have on the Chiefs, because if you don't think that this season ends with confetti falling down while Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift kiss, you just haven't read the script. You haven't read the script yet.
That's right. Everything the NFL wants to have happen is that.
That's what she wants, and that's what she gets. What she wants, she gets.
Yeah. It would bring in so much money.
Oh, I can't even imagine it. I
just really, really hope it's not Jordan Love under that confetti, because if it is, as a Bears fan, I'm honestly, I'm honestly at the point where I'm giving it. I'm like,
you should, because like, you know what? I'm a Jets fan, and I'm right there with you. But like
Jets,
we lived through Brady and Rodgers together.
Yeah.
But the fact that that they're going to go Favre to Rodgers to Love,
Jordan Love,
with no fucking break in between of like a bad year.
But here's the other thing, and this is the part I honestly can't wrap my head around. Polls did the unthinkable. We got the number 1 overall while getting DJ Moore, while getting their number 9, while getting a second. We had a year that there was growth. We had a lot of embarrassing fourth quarters, a lot of crumble. So we've gotten way better. They're talking there. The report is, I'm hearing, it's most likely going to be Caleb Williams, right? You're telling me you're going to draft Caleb Williams and put him with a defensive-minded head coach when Jimmy Harbaugh's out there meeting with the Falcons? Jimmy Harbaugh was our quarterback.
Yeah.
He's a Chicago guy.
We're not
even meeting with him. So
they're not even meeting with him?
No.
Oh, that I didn't know that. That's
so then I'm like,
it hasn't happened yet. That's crazy.
And then I'm kind of like, and I'm not talking any trash about the Flus. You know, the Flus is loose in Chicago. God bless him. But I'm like, you're telling me Jim Harbaugh is available, and you're not even saying let's kick the tires?
That's got to be a no from him, then, right? Like he tells them, like, no,
not a chance. No.
That's
Harbaugh's meeting with everybody. It doesn't make any sense in terms of negotiation not to meet. He's meeting with the Falcons.
Yeah, if you meet with the Falcons, you meet with them.
He met with the Chargers and the Falcons. He would meet with Chicago.
Yeah.
But we're saying, no, we're looking for an offensive coordinator. So that has to tell me. Now, if they do this plan, it makes a little bit more sense. If we get some offensive coordinator and we keep Justin Fields, and then we trade the number 1 pick for a haul, and we say, Justin is our guy, and I think Justin Fields is good enough. But the way we really win is build around. We have an unbelievable defense. We have a ton of picks. We have the future. And we're going to pair him with an offensive coordinator who goes, I know how to do it. And you create a team-friendly deal with him to get like a 5-year contract. But other than that, if we draft Caleb Williams and we have an offensive coordinator and head coach who get fired after 2 years, and then we're starting over, and now he's a third-year quarterback who got beat up for 3 years like Bryce Young, well, I'm like, there's got to be a point where I get a divorce.
Yeah, you have to at some point. My thought, like as a Jets fan, I'm like, draft a quarterback with every single pick of the draft every year until you hit on one, and then you figure it out from there. But I can understand the idea of like, you can't just keep doing this forever. But what is Justin Fields the guy? You really think so? The guy?
Well, look, is Brock Purdy the guy?
Yeah, that's the thing. Then you do have the examples where you're like, well, it worked out for them, but it's like it's got.
Is Joe Flacco the guy with the Ravens?
Yeah.
There was that era when we had so many great quarterbacks in the NFL where it was like you need a quarterback. My idea has flipped now, where I'm like, build the team, then get the quarterback.
Have the offensive line.
Look at like the Rams. The Rams before they got Stafford. Stafford was never considered a guy. He was like
a
guy. He had Calvin Johnson. Blah blah blah.
You have a killer defense. You have a great line. You have great weapons, and all these guys are professional. So you're not saying I'm going to get a quarterback and pay him $500 million and everybody else are just scrubs.
Right.
You're like, no. You get killers everywhere. So that's
hard. I think the thing, like when you do have a guy, it's what we said about, Chris Hogan. You can take scrubs and turn them into Pro Bowlers. Yes. And that's the difference, is that you make, everybody better. Whereas the other way, you better have your GM, your coach, your owner. Agreed. Everything's got to be perfect. You got to draft perfect. You got to hit,
I agree.
You need everything else. So it's like, and I don't know which is harder, to be honest. Both of them are so fucking hard.
I just know
there are no more disgusting.
Yeah. I just know that if we take Caleb Williams and then he gets destroyed next year. Yeah. And we're watching him going like, well, it's his first year. And the commentators are saying like, he's special, but they got to protect him. And then they go, and the Chicago, whoever our offensive coordinator, we're all excited about now, we're all going like, I hate him. Yeah. He's the problem. And then finally they go after this year, like, hey, we were 7-10 or 7-11, whatever the schedule is now with these extra games. They go, you know what? We're starting over. And then after a year or two in the league, we give him a whole new offense. Yeah. Then we're jokes.
Yeah.
Because what you do right now, if you're in this spot, which you're only in this spot once a generation, there's a generation talent. We have the number 1. If you like him, then you pair him with his guy who really understands offense, and you say, we live and die on you two fuckers, but you guys are the thing for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Stick to it no matter what. Yeah.
And let's see if you can build with this person to not even meet. It's like I'm having this moment where I'm like, it feels like I came home. I've been married for a long time. I got a bunch of kids. And all of a sudden I'm looking at my wife and I'm like, do I know you? Like, well, who is this man in our house that you've been referring to as your yoga instructor? I don't see fucking yoga pants on. Who's Charo?
Would you ever quit? But I've said it before. There are definitely times I kind of like quiet quit on the Knicks.
Yes.
The Jets are certainly making it hard. The Mets are kind of like I'm an addict, so I'll never quit them. But there are definitely times where I'm like, as I get older, I feel more and more ridiculous rooting for a team that's just not going to do it. And I could do better things with my time and blah, blah, blah. And then I always just kind of find myself.
So I had a thing with the Cubs before we won the World Series that what I really felt like it was the Cubs were like the love of my life. Mm-hmm. Right. And you're dating and it's perfect and it's amazing. And then one day you get and it's as good as it's ever been. You've never had a relationship like this. She's perfect. And then one day you come home and she's cheated on you. Mm-hmm. And you go and you see it and you go like, what the fuck? And she says, it's not a one-time thing. I'm actually in love with him. And we didn't know how to tell you. And you go like, oh, and you're crushed. Right. And then it's over and you're depressed. And you go through a fat phase where all of a sudden you're back to like Parliament Lights. And you're like, I don't even care that they're the trashiest cigarettes. I just like these filters. Right. And you go like, do I eat hamburgers again all the time? They taste good. And then slowly your friends go like, come on, big fella. You're pushing 215. You're as pale as you've ever been. Let's take a walk. You start walking, things start feeling good. All of a sudden you start going up. There's like a couple of women in the group of friends. You start making friends again. This is the beginning of spring training. Mm-hmm. You meet some women and you're like, I don't know. Now I'm back to about 187. I've quit smoking. I dip a little. But like I'm doing pretty good. And then you meet somebody else and you're feeling back in the game. This is right at the beginning of the season. And then you see her in a coffee shop, your ex, and she's wearing like a cute sweater and she's got no makeup on and her hair is up and you're like, hey, and she's like, first, I just want to say I'm an asshole. And you go like, no. And she goes, I fucked up. And she does the big apology tour. She's regretted that with everything in her life. And you say, well, let's get a cup of coffee. And you start building back. And even your friends go like, I mean, you guys were the best together. And then it's April and May and you're in love. And it's June and now you're going, maybe this year we get married, right? And she's like, I'm in. And you go, I've never saw kids with anyone but you. And she's like, same. And you're like, because we see home the same way. Then it's July, you're in, and then one day you come home in early August and there's a guy in bed with her. And she said, this has been going on for a while. That was the Cubs every year of my life.
108 years straight that happened.
And then we won the World Series and I was like, I don't know what it is. And I'll tell you, it's starting to happen with the Bears and me. Mm-hmm. Where the offseason starts and I go, I don't know. I like our draft.
Every time.
And then, it was game one of this year. I was so confident in this group. And then we got spanked by the Packers. And I felt like my girlfriend was saying like, it's not like you, Jake. I'm just in love with him. Right. And I'm going like, right. I've been in this bedroom before with you fools. And I go like, I'm done. And then all of a sudden I'm in that coffee shop and there she is. And she's like, we got the first overall. And I go, yeah. And she goes, and number 9. And I go, no kidding. She goes, we have the most cap space. And I'm like, well, maybe we'll get lunch.
Dude, if that ain't the best example of love and sports I've ever heard of in my goddamn life.
Right? And then you go, I want to quit, but like, I'm going to go through the fat phase. I'm going to rip cigs. And then all of a sudden I'm going to start feeling better and I'm going to see her again.
Yeah. Well, that's the real dangerous part where you start loving the bad face too. You're like, I mean, that's pretty fun.
That was good. That was good. 215.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I was never happier.
Dude, you are the absolute best. There is nobody better than you. Babe. We appreciate the time as always.
One more thing, a very quick thing before we go. This is the most important question I'll ask you this whole show. The very end of SelfReliance, where you're walking up to Anna's house.
Yeah.
I got to know where that jacket's from. What a jacket.
I don't know, but I wore it to the premiere party.
Did you really? Yeah, you knew it's a fucking nice ass jacket, dude.
And first of all, guys, thank you. We've been doing this, the three of us, for years now. Yeah. It's always nice to see your success. Keep blowing it up. And second, everybody, please check out SelfReliance on Hulu. And we're here to help. I got a podcast. I'm asking everyone to check it out. We're having a load of fun. John, you're coming
on that Friday.
I would love you to come on too, buddy. You guys, whenever
oh
you're
my
in
God,
LA,
I would be honored. I would love it.
Truly, when you're in LA, you got a home base.
That's amazing.
We're having a ton of fun, and you guys are going to crush it there.
I can't even think of a better podcaster than yourself. I mean, what you just painted there, it's like, I always make fun of the celebrities who start podcasts because I'm mad at you guys because you're taking up our lane. But the way you just did it right there, I'm like, it's in good hands. It's in good hands.
You know what I'll say? It's the same thing of movies, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I think in the podcast game right now, I don't see it as competition. I see it as we're in an explosion. And I also feel it's such a big market and it's still so untapped.
Yeah.
Because once people, like a lot of people will come up and go like, "Hey, I heard your podcast, dude. I don't even listen to podcasts. But now they're great." And I'm like, you're about to go into an ocean of shows and everyone's got back catalogs. Because now I've become that guy. There's always an earbud in my ear and there's always something going.
Yep.
And I'm like,
you always have one in your ear.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah.
Well, like if you're like, doing chores or moving through space, I'm like, it's what Stern used to be for me. Mm-hmm. Where like if you're commuting, you just listen to this thing. And now I'm like, you can have 4 or 5 different ones.
Yep.
So I'm like, we're in an explosion of niche content in the most exciting ways.
Yeah.
No, you guys are doing it right. You're doing it good. So everybody check out the pod. Everybody check out SelfReliance. And we'll see you next time, bro.
Yeah, you guys are the best.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jay. Great.
See you, fellas.